Okay, so welcome to Web Applications 1, okay, which is one of the courses here in computer engineering. Let me just start by spending some time describing what is the organization of the course, or what is expected from us and from you. And basically the goal is to, sorry, did I have the right file? Sorry, I opened the wrong file. Yeah, this is the right one. Okay. I mean, this course, that's why I opened the wrong file, that we have a twin course, okay? Web Applications 1 is in English, and Applicazioni Web 1 is in Italian, and the courses are totally aligned. So in the English course, I will be the teacher, the main teacher, Fulvio Corno, and Francesca Russo will help me with some of the lectures and most of the labs. And in the Italian course, we have the main teachers, Luigi De Russis and Luca Scibetta, who is the assistant, the helper for that. Okay. So basically, all the material except this first class is totally aligned between the two courses. Here, of course, we have an international classroom where less than half of the people are from Italy in this class, and the others are from a variety of different countries. So welcome here, and I hope we can work well together. I'm sure that not everybody is here, just by counting, and not everybody is enrolled yet. Okay, so I know that people will be enrolling throughout the semester or throughout the next weeks. I hope we can settle a number of people quite rapidly in the first weeks, so that we can start having the full classroom and do the works in the labs together. Okay, so the goal of the course is mainly to, as the title says, to understand how web applications are designed and developed from one point of view, and basically the point of view is the point of view of the front-end programming. Okay, so web application is a distributed application between a back-end and front-end. In this course, we will focus mostly, not exclusively, but mostly on the front-end. Yeah, and this means working in JavaScript, because actually it's the only programming language which is available or suitable for front-end programming. We are going to use the React framework, which is a very popular programming framework for front-end application. But I want to make clear since the beginning, this is not a React course. Okay, we are using React, but our goal is to understand actually the basic principles of the JavaScript language and of web programming. Okay, so React will be one of the many libraries. Maybe in 5 years it will be out of fashion, and there will be something totally different. So that's why we are spending some time at the beginning of the course in setting some foundations about the web architecture and the language of JavaScript itself that are here to stay. There will be concepts that are useful no matter what framework or what programming environment you are going to use, if you are going to work in the web domain at all. Okay, so that's first. We have two goals basically. One is sharing and understanding the foundation of web architectures and the web programming, and second, learning some tools just to practically develop something. And this is part of a bigger picture. Starting from this course, which is ours, in the computer engineering degree, we have other courses that you can take. Some are, well, mostly, they are mostly optional, depending on the path that you've chosen. But just to give you the big picture, we have these three, let's say, red or reddish boxes, which are the path for web programming. So we have application 1, web application 1 and web application 2. Web application 2 will focus mostly on the server side of the programming. Okay, so the two will complement, and in the middle, in between, we have a course of distributed system programming, which will study more, let's say, the foundations, the protocols, the problems that arise when you are building distributed systems. So that we are, as we'll see later on, we will be taking a lot of shortcuts in our front-end programming, because just for once, when we have many users that are connected to the same website, or the issue about the consistency of operation depending on who does some operation before is a big issue. It's one of the toughest problems, and we are not going to, we don't have time, say, to deal with that in this course, and that will be the subject of distributed system programming, and later on the application level of web programming too. So these three are, let's say, the 18 credits for web programming and web architectures. Related to those, there's an interesting course on human-computer interaction, which is an optional course, which basically helps us to go from user needs to interface design. So starting from what an application should do, or what problems we should want to solve for a user, what is a procedural path, a methodology for designing the right interface. So how to organize the web page, how to organize the content, and so on. Let's say that computer engineers are very good at creating ugly interfaces and unusable interfaces, okay? Because they like to go deep down, but the end user, okay, is a normal human person, and that requires some sort of usability, some sort of flexibility, some sort of also nice visual layout, and so on. So that course will set the foundation for designing usable and effective user interfaces. And that's more, it has nothing to do with say, graphic capabilities, okay, with design skills or something like that. It's just an engineering process to design. As we design, the database, we should also design the user experience, okay, with the steps that the user is going to take. So that's say, a suggested course. And also related to that, we have the mobile application development course. That the name says it all about mobile apps, and we'll see that mobile app, okay, the framework is totally different, and the operating system also, but the general architecture is very similar to that of a web application, because we always have a backend usually in the app, and they communicate in the same way with the same programming patterns. Okay, so this is the full, let's say, offer of teaching for the next 2 years to keep you engaged with these topics. Okay, of course there are a lot of other topics in computer engineers you may be fond of, but when you will be deciding your optional courses, you can take into account this. One of the suggestions that they give us when we start a course is always to start by reflecting on the past edition of the course. So this is a chart from the end of course questionnaires, the CPD questionnaire that all students are asked to fill at the end of the course, and I hope you will do that, of course. Well, this course is, let me be proud, it's quite good. We are in the top courses of our departments according to the user satisfaction. So no problem about that. I hope I will perform the same way this year. And but I'm not here to brag, and just here to check what the students from last year told about the courses. So we distilled the main comments that are very precious to us into actually some issues about how the labs were developed in the course. Okay, the labs, programming labs, are as in any computer engineering course, are the strongest part of the course, of course, learning to develop, to design, to implement, and students were not so satisfied about how they were organized, because they were classical, this is the exercise, please sit and work. And this year we are trying to organize them in a more interactive fashion, in more engaging fashion for you. We'll spend some time in describing that, but since now I almost started to suggest you to prioritize the attendance to the labs. Okay? We'll try to make the experience useful, but I'm not worried if somebody is not coming to classes, because I'm recording everything, and you can look at me here from sitting there or from any other setting in the world. So I hope maybe that my intention is to record every lecture. There may be technical problems sometimes, so I cannot offer a 110% guarantee, but I'll try. But I would like to see more people in the labs than in the class, let's say, okay? So that we can work together, really. This year we are trying to, let's say, remove some less important topics that you can study on your own, and give more time for in-class exercises. So usually 50% of my time here in class will be doing exercise with you, programming with you, writing buggy code, of course, because but you will help me correct it and check it. So trying to have more time to work in exercises with you. Let's say 1/3 of the course is so-called theory or explanation on your concepts, 1/3 is exercises in class, and 1/3 is lab work from you. So we are trying to take into account the suggestion from last year in a small reorganization of the topic of the courses. The main topics are described here in these 4 pillars. Okay, so the first pillar we start today is JavaScript as a language. Okay, a lot of people learn mainly in industries or outside the academia, they work JavaScript as a language for a framework. We are trying to study it as a programming language itself, so understanding better its semantics and its behavior, which is quite interesting. Okay, apart from the syntax and apart from the quirks, from the strange things that happen with the handling of type, okay, something fun to learn. But actually, the programming model, which is strongly asynchronous, will take some time to master, and will help us to think and to program in a way which is different. So it's a synchronous language, but with an asynchronous semantics, and we'll see that. Okay, it will take a couple of weeks to get to the fundamentals. Then, of course, we will look at what's in the browser, so HTML, the CSS, and something like that. This is the lightest part of the course. It's just something very, let's say, easy to learn, and maybe most of you already know this stuff because you checked out on by yourself. So, but of course, the front-end application, the front-end runs in the browser, so we should understand not just HTML, but how JavaScript interacts with the browser, which is the API between the programming language from our application and the browser itself, so that they need to work together. And then we'll move to these single-page applications, applications that run thanks to a JavaScript framework and do everything in a single browser window. First, we learn the basic communication between the client and the server, so loading the application, calling a remote API, and so on. And then moving to React, which is the framework which we will work in the second half of the course, basically. So basically from mid-course up to the end, we'll work basically on React by calling APIs on the server side. Okay, these are some icons for the technologies that we are going to explore during the course, some of them. Okay, and this will be, of course, organized in several weeks. You know that we have 14 weeks. We have 10 main topics because some topics will take a couple of weeks to develop. Okay, to give more time and to give more time to to understand it, especially to complete the exercises or the different steps. Okay, the schedule for the course is this one, except today that you have to change the class with software engineering class, and so I apologize, but on tomorrow I will be away, and but normally we have the Tuesday morning starting at 10, so hopefully we don't have the issues that we had this morning, and Friday morning for the labs. Okay, of course the labs will be divided in two groups, so you can either on the first or on the second group. There won't be any difference between lectures and exercises in the hours of Tuesday. I'll mix them, of course, as soon as I explain something new. A lot of classes will be by example or by developing exercises. Okay? The labs will start in the second week, and this week we will use the lab hours, so room R4B, which is something here. We'll use it for giving an extra class. Okay, so only for this week, I ask you to come all the 3 hours, okay, to have some material to get started, let's say, before the first labs. Then from the second week on, we will be split into for the lab hours. So we'll have 9 hours of warm-up classes, and then we start with the course itself, right? Okay, as I said, the classes are, except from technical issues, but they are all recorded. I will upload them after the class, usually in a couple of hours or before the end of the day normally. And in some cases, there are some topics which are not so difficult, so that they are not worth you sitting here listening to me by describing trivial things. So in those cases, we'll give you some reading, something to look ahead of time. Sorry, like HTML, the HTML language and so on is not something worth spending time together. Let's try to make the time that we spend together worth spending, not just by telling you things that will bore you and will bore myself also when I tell you. So there will be a couple of times or 3 where I will give you some suggestions for study. The labs are the most, I hope, the most interesting part of the course. They are different from this year, so we designed them totally, and we'll explain better next week. But the idea is that we start from some exam texts. So we pick up 4 probably different exams that we gave in the last years. So we start by doing exam text in the first week of the course. Okay? We start from there. The exam test is just the specification for a web application. So it's something that you can read today. Right? We don't have any complex formulas or so on. If you go on the website, you see all the exams, and you see that each of them is a specification. Let's build a web application that does this and that. Okay? We will select 4 or 5 older exams which are fun to do, not too boring, so that you can engage. And the idea is to develop throughout the course the solution to that exam, step by step. Okay, so in the first week, we will learn the basic of JavaScript, to creating objects, interacting with databases, and so we will apply in the labs. We will build the database and the objects for that specific exam, and so on. And every week or every couple of weeks, we have a new topic, and in the labs, we are going forward with the with your web application by applying what we are learning. Okay, so they are not abstract or imaginary text that you have to implement or exercise that you have to implement. It's your own project that you are going to build throughout the course. The idea is that you create some groups so that it's better when you have a new problem to discuss with somebody, saying, okay, how do we solve this? How do we do that? You can fight, of course, peacefully, always. We can discuss and you come to an agreement. You maybe try different solutions, and then you go forward for the next step together as a group, okay? There are no points. There are no assignment that you have to hand in. There are no, so it's not something that you do for 2 extra points at the exam, okay? It's something that you do for, basically learning and applying what we are explaining in a group and in the lab, okay? And so we hope that it will also motivate you to come to the labs, work together, and use our assistance also for resolving maybe some bug or some syntax issue, but mostly for discussing about the solution you came up with. So I thought of doing this way. Is it correct or not? What are the problems, and so on? Okay. So I think this could be more interesting. So you can also work, like it happens many times, on your time in developing, and then come to the lab for discussing, for presenting. Okay. This is new this year. Let's say if it works, but I hope that, of course, the sequence of topics in the labs is bound to the theory that we will develop. Okay, so it's not exactly the same sequence of design steps that you will do during the real exam. Okay, because we have to start small and then add the topics, and at the end of the course, when you have the full picture of all the technologies, maybe when approaching a new exercise, you start from a different point. Of course, it may be, but at least we have. At the end of the course, you will have a full working application, and each group will have a different one. It's not something where here is the exercise and here is the solution. No, the solution will be yours. Okay, we will help you in collaborating by asking you to work on a shared GitHub project. The idea is that I've set up, I don't know if you already use GitHub Classrooms in other courses, but it's a very simple mechanism for creating automatically some repositories and sharing them between one student or a group of students and the teachers. Okay, so if you enroll at this link here, don't copy it, you get the PDF from the material. If you enroll them, you will be asked to specify a name of a group, which is just a friendly name, and enroll in that group. The first person that creates a new group, the first person in a group who enrolls will set up the name of the group, and the other one will just join that group. You will have to select your name from a list of students. I downloaded the list of students on Friday, Saturday, whatever. So maybe if you enroll to the course after that, you are not in the list yet. So you just need to tell me, and then I will add you to the list, so that you will create with this procedure a link between your name and your GitHub account. Use whatever GitHub account you like, your personal one. We don't ask you to create a GitHub account with a special name for the course. I think it's not a good idea. You work with your own account, and you link it to the name of with your name as a student, so that we have the table. We don't have to fill Google Forms or something like that. It's a very simple procedure. So you came up with a group of friends, you came up with the name of the group, and then next week you will select the exercise in which your group is going to work. There is no constraints. Maybe everybody will select the same exercise or not. We don't care. Okay, just select one of the 4 or 5 that we will propose you, and which is the one that you like better. Just to split the work, I would say that the first group will be the first half of the alphabet, and the second group will be the second half, splitting at K. Okay. A to K and the L to Z, they are nearly equal sized groups, because we have a lot of H and K names in this class. And of course, I cannot force you to have only friends with the same letters of the name as you. And so we are, of course, we accept groups that mix people with different last names, let's say. Okay, so if you have like me with a last name with a C, and have a very good friend with the last name with the R, I don't know, I'm not preventing your friendship, and as long as the majority of the group will be in the right slot, which is a very, very rough idea for balancing the classroom, okay? Not having everybody come at the same time, especially at the beginning, when I hope the attendance will be higher, or I also hope will be high for the rest of the course. Okay, so it's a very rough rule of thumb. I don't want to go and check and count the people and spend 1 week just to making the groups. Aggregate yourself and come to the group where the majority of you has the right last name. Don't go shopping for last names, okay? They say, okay, I want you because I want to move to the group. Okay, so that's a self-organizing procedure. You have a week basically to think about that, because at the beginning of next week you will be asked to choose one of the topics. Because at the end of next week, the first lab will already be on the topic. Okay, everything that I'm saying, everything that I'm using is on one of these links. So basically we have the page, the website of the course, which is something like that. And especially important, I think, is the schedule part with the list of all the planned lectures. So I will update it week by week so that you can download the material, the PDF, or sometimes also the exercises that we do. The videos will be downloadable here or linked here, and you can have an idea of what's going to be the next topic, or what if you skip a lecture, you have all the information here. So I will keep this page updated and try to update it at least 1 week in advance, so that you can plan your work. There will be also some adjustments later on, because these rooms will be used in the last day of March and the first days of April for the open days, okay, of Politecnico. You know that this block of the R rooms will be used for the open days, so we have to rearrange some class, one lab and one lecture probably, but I'll tell you later how we can arrange, whether we'll substitute them online or we change the date. This is for the end of March, so it's not around the corner yet. So you have all the information here in this website, basically, in this web page, where you have also all the text of all exams from the last year, so you can have a look what the exam looks like. And also there's a GitHub space called Polito Web App 1, which is joint between the two courses, where you can find basically the course material. There's a repository called Material 2025 here that contains basically the same slides that are linked here on the course website on the schedule part. The schedule will link the slides. But the difference is that this is a GitHub repo, so if you want, you can clone it, and every week you can pull and you get the latest version of the slides without downloading them one by one, because computer engineers are lazy, okay? And so let's clone the repo and pull it so that you will have all the slides that are updated or are added to this repo. And also, the same goes for laboratories. There's a repo for labs, which is now empty yet, of course, and will be updated. And the third repository is what we call the Wix, Web Application 1 Wix, which is a repo that I'm going to use in class. So everything I write in class, even stupid exercises that we are going to do today, will be saved in this repo. so you don't have to copy, okay, from the whiteboard what I'm writing. You know that at the end of the lecture I will push to this repo and you get exactly what I wrote here with you, errors included, of course, just live in real time, so that you don't need to take notes about what exactly I write. So I suggest you clone these 3 repos, and then you have the 4th one, which will be your lab, and this is the environment in which we are going to work. Okay, I already spammed the Telegram group with 3 or 4 messages. I know that it still has to reach some people, because at the moment we have something like, what's that, 200 people, and there's probably nearly 100 people missing from the group yet, but they will come. This will be the only communication channel, okay? So let's not get lost into emails, because it's very it's much slower and they risk to get lost, except for maybe very personal issues, but everything's related to the course, even stupid questions. Please use the group, because every question is also shared by your colleagues and vice versa. Okay, I will use it to post material, to post information, and feel free to write anytime, even during the night if you want. I will only reply, of course, when I'm awake, so don't be shy, okay? And also feel free also to reply among yourselves, okay? It's a, say, community channel, so feel free really to use it, and it's the way to communicate in this course and to collaborate in this course. Okay, about the exam. Well, the exam is one project. In this course, the exam means developing one web application. Developing one web application in 20 days. So actually, we publish the specification for the website 20 days before the course, the exam call date, okay? So if the date will be, I don't know, the date may be, let's say, 15th of June, then 20 days before, we publish the specification, okay? We publish it as a document online, and that you can comment. If something is not clear, we will leave the comments open for a week or something like that, and then we'll close it, we finalize the specification, so that in the first days, we can clarify maybe if something is not really clear. And then you can work on your own, in your time, during 20 days, right? And then on the last day, and the day before the exam call, you have to submit the project on GitHub. We will use again Google Classroom for this procedure, so that actually you will have your own repository just to push at the end of the course. So you can use it for developing, pushing how many times you want. Then there will be one last final commit and one last final push. Will be the final version that we are going to check. Of course, you are working on your own, so we cannot just check or evaluate this project, because we don't have any guarantee that it's your own personal work. And it's not against the rules also to work together, okay? I'm not saying submitting the same exact project twice by 2 different people, but working together is normal. So the project will be submitted, and you will present it to us during the discussion. Okay, so we will have normally a 30 minutes discussion in the next days, of course, and it will not be everybody in the same day, because the numbers don't call for it. We will open together your project, we will run it together, we will see how it works, and see the documentation, and see the code. So we are going to open on my computer your project, your code, and I will ask you questions about your project. Okay, there are not questions about theory or about other stuff, about your project. The goal here is to be sure that you are fully confident of what you submitted. That means you are the real author. And also to have an impression about how well you understood what you were doing. Okay, not just copy and pasting, but okay, I know what this does. Okay, and finding information, explaining why you did these things in some way, and so on. Okay, so after the discussion, I will make my mind about a number of points about the oral discussion itself and about the project that we'll be discussing. The score for the project will come out after the discussion. Okay, I don't open the projects before. We did it in the first year, but it was very painful because you had to wait maybe 10 days because I had to grade all the projects, and then I had to see them again during the discussion while you were waiting. So we decided, let's make the discussion a bit longer, but we open the project together. Okay, so you come, but you already know whether your project is good or not. Okay, it's just if it runs and it runs well. So this is the exam. And we have also 2 extra points totally for arbitrary points, when we feel that somebody is brilliant, okay, maybe in the design choices of project or in the discussion. And so we can give these 2 extra points that may raise you up from 30 to more than 30. Okay. Don't ask me for the grids, how many points did you give him for this. I want to answer, okay? That's my job of giving the points. I give you the framework, and then how many points did I take for this error and that is something that I don't share, okay? It's even because it's not easy to break it down like that. It's not just a quiz. It's an overall project that we try to evaluate. Of course, I have some criteria, but these are flexible in my mind. Of course, the note is that if during the discussion I have the feeling, or Francesca, who is going to do the exam with me, we have the feeling that it's not your project, because you bought it in the black market, or you have a friend make it for you, you go away, okay? Let's not discuss about that. It's not just yes or no. If yes, we can evaluate and see the scores, maybe better, maybe worse. If we have the feeling that you are not familiar with your project, okay, basically it's a project you should have finished 2 days before. Okay, so there's no reason not to be very familiar with the code, okay, unless somebody else did it for you. Okay, so I would like to avoid any kind of discussion about this. Let's not get in this situation. Okay, so there's nothing to study or no theory for the exam, just doing the project in these 20 days. And every exam call, there will be a different specification, different exam course, okay? Like you see here, exam. We have 3-4 calls a year, and every one. The calendar runs against us because the first and the second call of June, July, you know, they are always 15 days apart, 14 days apart, 2 weeks. But we will publish the text of the second call 20 days before. So there will be an overlap. Some days in which maybe you already started working on the first call, but then the second project is already out, and so you have to decide whether to submit the first one or drop it and start working on the second one. And it's totally up to you, okay? Of course, it's not, or maybe you already submitted the first one, you don't know whether you got a good score and whether you actually want to do the second. Unfortunately, I cannot control the calendar weeks, so that's how it is. From our point of view, basically we don't care, meaning that what we check only is whether you submit the project on the day before the exam. So if you submit it, we correct it and we check it. Otherwise, you can start writing, start working, and then abandon it as you wish, really, okay? You're really flexible. The only thing that we go and check the commits on the day. So it's not ideal, but at least the alternative would be to give you less time, but I really don't think it's a good idea. Okay. The project is actually one project you will need to develop with the technologies that we saw in the course, but nothing new. The same type of project we are doing in the lab. As I mentioned, we already start with some exam text. The difference is that, of course, the exam project should be individual, okay, not group work, okay? So the code should be different for every project. And it should be running on my computer, not on yours, okay? So it runs on mine is not a good justification. And so we also being careful of implementing something that can really be ported and executed somewhere else, using the technologies that we have in the course. And well, this is already what I mentioned to assess the project. The oral discussion will be for assessing the project and for ensuring that you are the real author. Okay. So going to a more practical point of view, well, the resources for the course are, of course, the slides that we have, that we are using, the videos, the exercise that we do together, and so on. Plus, we are doing web development. We are using JavaScript. There's really millions or billions of websites or documentation about that. So it's not difficult to find any information you want. For having the official documentation for React is very good and is from the official React website. And also the documentation about JavaScript, okay, you can download the specification of the language, which is totally impossible to read and to understand, because a formal specification, it's something like 600 pages of very technical description, but the MDN network, the Mozilla Developer Network, has very, very good documentation about all the function of the language, tutorials, and so on. So I think that is my first go-to website when I want to know something with the real, with the official, say, specification for some language issue. And as a tools for programming, basically we are using Node.js, which is a runtime interpreter for the JavaScript language. This year we saw that the latest version, LTS, long-term support version, is number 22. So this is the version of Node that we are officially using in the course. So check that you are installing that version. You can install it with well, there are very different ways of installing Node with package manager, depending on your operating system. It's all described in the Node.js say website. Just try to use and install this version. Between version 22 or 23 or 20, there's not many differences for what we are using there. But sometimes when we deploy the project, there are some small differences in the versions of the supported libraries that make things more complex when we try to run them in a computer with a different version of Node. So let's try to align ourselves on this version. Later on, we'll have some help. There are some extensions in Chrome, in Firefox, and so on for debugging, basically, React code, but it will be for later on. It's just a very simple extension that we can install. And then most of the programming will be on Visual Studio Code that you may love or hate. I'm more of the second, but actually it's quite lightweight enough and very oriented toward JavaScript. So we're going to use that as a programming environment. But The programming environment is also your choice, and what it counts at the end of the day is the project, is the code that is being committed. If you are using, I don't know, WebStorm, which is another from JetBrains, you can use it all the same, no problem. Okay. Anyway, we are developing a standard application, so the IDE is totally transparent, and it will always run onto the Node runtime. Okay. Then, of course, if you want, I've linked some books, which are some older, some newer. I have these 2 websites. One is very nice, it's called You Don't Know JavaScript. Okay, thank you. I already knew that, which has some more in-depth information, and while we have something which is more maybe easy to read from Flavio Copes, which is an Italian developer that published some handbooks, as he called them. Okay, but these are just something that we used in preparing some of the slides, but as I mentioned, they're really a lot of information on these topics online. Okay, this is just a list that could go on forever. Okay. Okay, so I think that for introduction, that's all. If you have any question, did I left something of interest out? Yes?
I would like to ask you if I can join a group, or someone can join a group if he's in Italian course.
Sorry, can you speak a bit louder?
About
Making a group. Yeah?
If someone in Italian course can join a group, maybe this course or not.
From the Italian? No. From Italian, no. Because the labs are in different days, so we are not going to mix people from the Italian course and the English course, please. Also because, as I mentioned, in the GitHub Classroom, you are selecting your name from the list of students, and they are 2 different lists because they are the same list that will be used for the exam. So they need to be kept separate. But you can compete against them. Okay? Another question? So let's move on. Let me stop the recording.